Hello. Never thought I would be sending this message today. As many of you know, or many, like the 5 people who watch these things, I was scheduled to have my surgery today for cancer. Uh, to remove appendix, gallbladder, I think spleen too now, digestive tract, foot of colon, some flappy cilium thing or something else. Major surgery. So that entailed last night I had to use the same stuff you use for colonoscopy to clear the bowels, as they say. Oh, that stuff it doesn't taste that bad, but having to drink a half a gallon of water in a short amount of time is not easy. And it's more, you just feel bloated drinking all that junk. So, had to do that. Um, can't go anywhere because you got to be near a bathroom. Um, then at 1, 2, and 11, I had to take antibiotics. Now, I've had antibiotics before. Probably everybody's had amoxicillin. Never had a problem with it. The antibiotics they gave me were the size of horse pills, and they weren't coated with anything. And one of them got stuck in my mouth, and it was the most disgusting pill I'd ever had. I mean, come on, pay the extra 2 cents and have it coated with something. It was that bad. And I had to do 2 pills of 2 of these 3 times. So I had to get up at 11 o'clock because, had to be there at 5:15. So I went to bed at 9. I had to wake up at 11 to take the medication. And then at 3, I had to wake up and drink a energy drink. A lot of electrolytes. Actually, that tasted pretty good. So I guess there's a little trade-off there. I was really worried I was going to have to wake up at 3 and drink some horrible concoction, but it was good. So get up, ready to go. Everything is set. I've got a go bag for my daughter to bring once I wake up from recovery. That's all set to go. She drops me off at the place, Kaiser, at 5:15. Check in, do the pre-check-in. Same questions they asked me like 3 or 4 times. This is one thing I really like about Kaiser is they're very thorough. They don't ask you something once or twice. It's usually like 4 times. It gets a little annoying, but I'm glad they do it, and you'll find out why later. So, do the pre-checkup or pre-admin stuff. Then I go into my stall, I'll call it, in this huge room. They've got it all curtained off into sections, and all the people doing surgery that day go in there. So I go in there. I'm like the 3rd person in there, and they start, basically say, okay, get into your gown. Not the most flattering thing in the world. No problem there. Get into it. Ready to go. Have to go to the bathroom because of the stuff from the day before. Did that 2 more times. Then they come in and they start going over everything that the call the day before went over. So went over all that. And then they gave me these cleaning things, which they'd given me when you have cancer surgery, at least at Kaiser. One of the things they tell you is, take a shower at night, have clean bed sheets, wear something clean to sleep in, and then an hour after your shower, use these wipey things, basically huge towelette-looking things you get at KFC, and go over your body with it. And it's kind of, they said it can be kind of sticky. It was on my hands, but I didn't feel it on my body, so that was good. So I do all that. And they said, if you have a reaction, stop. I didn't have a reaction, so I did it. So now I'm in the hospital, in the gown, and they give me more of them. And they're like, okay, let's do it again. So, like, Jesus, why did I do it the night before if we're just going to do it again? But, well, being thorough, that's a good thing. Do all that. And in the meantime, I've got all these different nurses coming by. And every one of them is like, oh, you have a really long procedure. So we need to, it's going to take a long time to prep you. And they put these pads on me, like on my elbows and my butt, part of my back, my heels, and they said it's for bed sores. And they said that after 45 minutes of laying on this thing, you can actually develop bed sores. And I was like, never heard of that. I mean, I've heard of bed sores, but I didn't hear that it could be that quick. So they put all these pads on me, and like I said, every single nurse is like, "Oh, you got a really long surgery." Now I knew it could be anywhere from 4 to 10 hours, and I know, yeah, 10 hours that'd be a long one, but I was hoping for 4, which I didn't think would be that long. But the more they came by and kept saying, "Oh, yeah, you've got a really intensive surgery," I went in there pretty carefree, but the more they keep talking about it, I'm like, yeah. But like I said, I figured just get it done, move on. Now I'm cancer free, and let's hope for the best, and let's go. So it took about an hour and a half, I'd say, to prep me. They shaved my chest down. Luckily, I'm not a very hairy person, so that didn't take long. And we're off. They lead me into this room, and there's like 6 people in there, all to work on me. There's my main surgeon, who I talked to a couple of times on video, and then once she came by to say hi. So I'm like, all right, let's do this. And they tell me I'm going to have an epidural shot. And I'm like, isn't that the shot that pregnant women get in their back? And I've heard like that's like the most horrible thing in the world, right next to giving birth. And they're like, yeah, you're getting that, but you're getting it up a little higher. And I'm like, oh, Jesus. And they're like, oh, don't worry, we numb you first. I'm like, all right. So they bend me forward, and they start pricking me. Now, they'd given me happy juice. They shot me up with something into my... Oh, that's the other thing. Even though I've got this port here, even though I had the port, they put IVs on each of my hands. And they were going to use the port, too. So I was like, that's a lot of orifices getting fluids. So I'm bent over. He's poking me with this thing, and I could feel heat in my back. And he's like, everything okay? And I'm like, yeah, no problem. And also I should go back a minute. When they did it in my hands, people always have a hard time getting blood out of me. Hands, arms, wherever. And they had a heck of a time. And I don't know what it was, but I barely felt anything. And they missed on this hand. They missed twice. So they poked me 3 times to get the IV in, and it really only felt like a pinch, like barely anything. And I don't know what to attribute that, because normally as you probably know, when they miss, it hurts. But didn't really feel anything. So back to the back. So I'm leaning over, poking this, feeling heat in my back. He gets the epidermal out, sticks it in, and they're trying to determine how far in it is. And all of a sudden I hear, stop! And I'm like, what? And they said, stop, we have to cancel the operation. I'm like, what? They pull the needle out of my back, and my surgeon, who is on the computer, says that the last time I was in for chemo, which I was scheduled to go tomorrow, so it was not last Wednesday, but the Wednesday before, that they gave me one of the chemos they gave me, one of the chemo medications. Remember, I've been doing 4. One of the chemo medications causes bleeding, like excessive bleeding. So they said, we can't do the surgery because you had that chemo, and if we cut you open, it could be a lot of bad things. Now remember, on one of my videos, I mentioned that they told me originally that after my 4th chemo, I was going from 4 medications down to 2. And I was all excited about it. I was hoping to be the hair loss one and the cold sensitivity one, and maybe the bag, because I think the hair and cold sensitivity are the same one, and then the bag that I got to carry around. I was hoping those would be the 2 that they drop. And then when I got there, they're like, "No, you're doing 4." And even my oncologist, I asked him, and I said, "Hey, this next one, aren't I going down to 4 or going down to 2?" And he's like, "Nope, you're still doing the same ones, and we can do that up to 12 times total." I'm like, "Oh, crap." And I know I talked about that because I was really disappointed. I was really hoping we have to do 2. And then not only time-wise being in there, but, after effects and just less nausea and everything else. So now she's telling me we can't do the surgery because I got these 4, this one in particular. And I'm thinking to myself, I was right. They screwed up. Should have only gotten 2. Now I'm not 100% sure that the 2 that I was supposed to get, one of them wasn't, still this one, but, or the one that causes internal bleeding. But anyhow, so they pull the needle out and they're like, "Sorry, we're going to stop," which, hey, given the choice of bleeding out on a table or rescheduling it, I'm for rescheduling it. So that's what they did. They rescheduled my surgery for June 22nd to Tuesday, which is great for 2 reasons. Number one, they said, because I told them, like the first question I had when they said they canceled it, I said, "Does that mean I got to go to my chemo tomorrow?" And they said, "No more chemo until after, until the surgery's done and we see how everything went." So I'm like, yay! So that means no more chemo through June. It also means that the plans I had to go to my family's cabin this weekend are back on. The party that I'm going to be going to in a couple of weeks is back on. Father's Day is back on. I don't need to worry about being, recovery mode on any of those things. So, yeah. And now that means that on the 20th or 21st, I've got to go start drinking that fluid again, antibiotics again, energy drink again, wipe myself down again. And the other thing is I told all my customers that I'm going to be gone from here until they hear from me again. Passed off my projects to other people, which this week and next week they're good. They don't have to contact anyone. But after that, they were supposed to. So now I got to basically tell all my customers, "Oh, sorry, false warning. We're going to push it back all what I said 3 weeks." So I'm sure they're going to be asking why. I told a couple, but the rest of them are going to be like, "What's going on?" So it was a fun text to send. My daughter was completely surprised. I guess, she had to come pick me up, and she's like, "What do you mean he's coming home now? He was going to be at least there overnight." So explain that to her, and then there's like a group text with a bunch of friends of mine, and I just texted at 9 in the morning. Well, that was fun. And then, of course, all the questions, and, "Hey, should you be in surgery?" The only people I haven't told is my work. So I'm going to go into work tomorrow and surprise everyone, like, "Hey, I'm back. And do this all again in 3 weeks." So, yeah, that was my day. So after they told me, they bring me to this area of, like, recovery. And, of course, I'm the only one in there because everyone else is doing surgery still. And because of the stuff they shot me up with, for, I guess it was for the pain originally in my IVs, and then the little bit they stuck in my back, I sat in recovery for like an hour just waiting to get released. I felt fine. I didn't feel like I was loopy or anything. But they wanted to watch me and make sure everything was fine. And they all came over and were apologizing for, not being able to do the surgery. And I'm like, "Hey, I'm just glad you caught it. I don't care. I'll come back." So, yeah, I'm sure, didn't expect to send this. Be right back here in 3 weeks, and hope you had a better day than I did. Although, didn't end too bad because I got to eat after not eating for all that time, and didn't get cut open yet. So, yay. So I'll talk to you later. See ya.